Hi there! Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Van and I customize dolls on this channel. And if you're not new here, you may be wondering, what happened to all of their hair? Well, it's really hot in California, so I decided to buzz it all off. But you're definitely not here to listen to me talk about how I cut my own hair. You're definitely here to watch a customizing video. So this week I actually partnered with a few other dolls to bring you a Beetle Ball. I've always loved Don Bluth and the Thumbelina movie, and just the concept of having a ball for all of the bugs just sounded wonderful. So me and a bunch of other artists partnered together and we made some arthropod themed dolls, but more on that later. Right now, we're gonna get in the process of me making it. Start with apologizing. I am actually pretty sick right now, so my audio is kind of not gonna be that much, but first we are starting with the base layer, which is some pastels, some outlining, and some basic shapes to kind of bring in the concept I have for his face. Once I kind of get the outlines done, I do add in some blushing. I wanted this doll to have a lot of dramatic eye makeup, so I'm dragging it all the way back into his hairline. As a reminder, it is a lot easier to blend out pastels with actual makeup brushes. Sometimes you need paintbrushes for the smaller ones, but I use an eyeshadow brush for most of the rest of the blushing. I needed an eraser that's kind of pulled to a point and is going to be great to kind of remove the chalk pastels from places you don't want it to be. For example, I am removing it from the inside of his eye right now. Once that was done, I actually took him outside, sprayed him with another spray of sealant, and then I started drawing on with pencils. I also decided to work a lot with watercolors on this one. I got a bunch of teeny tiny brushes from Amazon recently, so I'm trying them out. I thought him having green eyes would be super cute. His face is pretty simple, just some green eyes and some eyeliner. Once I got both of the eyes finished, I did draw on his eyebrows. I drew them on with a pencil first, and then I took that same brush with a darker brown watercolor to fill in the little lines. Now I'm just taking other colored pencils and other colors to kind of push and pull the values, add lip wrinkles, highlights, and other things. At this point I decided he needed some mandibles, so I am sketching them on with black pencil. Usually I like to sketch with the lighter color before I go in with the darker ones, but I went with such a dark color to start with because I already knew exactly what I wanted. I am also using it to kind of disguise this line that I accidentally formed inside his face makeup. I don't know how I managed to do that, but now I can hide it. That part done, we're going to move on to the eye shines. I just did a very simple shine for him. He is a boy doll, so they don't get a lot of extra stuff like girl dolls do. Once I finish that, I go ahead and take him outside for a final coat of sealant. And this is how his face turned out. I think it's super cute. Now, ignore the continuity error. I made his clothes before I did his face, but I didn't finish his clothes before his face. So these are the materials I am using. To start with, I am going to make his undershirt. I'm going to use this sheer material to make kind of a poofy flouncy shirt. This is a altered pattern by DG Requiem. I will have the pattern linked down below like I usually do. I did use some stretch velvet as well to kind of do the collar and the hems. So this is the color that I did use. Now, when you are making shirts, just make sure to put a ton of pins in the sleeves or you will end up messing up the curves. It's really not that hard to sew sleeves, they're just really weird. And this is what the shirt does look like on him. I did accidentally make it a little too small, so he is stitched into this shirt. Next, I am making the design that I did embroider on the front of his vest. Since he is a beetle, I wanted to have a little beetle crest. This is an image that I drew like 5 or 6 years ago, and I'm just kind of updating it for him. I wanted the wings to be spread out a little bit more, so I did alter it. I am using Procreate on my iPad for this, and then once this is done, I actually go over it again with a sketch just to make sure all the shapes are how I want them to be. And once I get all of the shapes the way I want, I do one final outline, and then I'm going to export it and save it to my Google Drive. That way I can move it onto my actual computer a lot easier. Now I do download this onto my computer, and I am using a program called Inkscape. Inkscape is a free program that does have an extension that allows you to create embroidery files. Now these embroidery files aren't the best, but it's the easiest way to make them without paying for a program. What I do is I make an outline, and then I make the same exact shape and do a color fill, and then I use the extension to kind of create the design. And once that is completed, I send it over to my embroidery machine to embroider it out. If you've ever used an embroidery machine, you know that they are a little finicky, but mine is especially finicky because it is like 30 years old. This machine is ancient. I have to use an old computer to actually work with it. So I have to create the file on my regular computer, save it onto a flash drive, move it to an old computer from the early 2000s, and then send it over to my embroidery machine. So if you have the chance, get a newer one. They're so much easier. And this is how the embroidery turned out for his crest. And with that, I'm going to make his little vest. Now, the vest is from the same pattern by DG Requiem, but I did alter it to be a V-neck instead, and I did add a little bit of seam allowance to the center to make it a little bit bigger. Once it is cut out, I go ahead and cover all of the edges with fray check so that way that they don't come unraveled. And once it is completely fray checked, I am going to stitch together the pieces. I do add gold stitching to the neck seam and the shoulder seams, but I stitch together the sides and roll up the bottom. And now I'm moving on to his wings. I used the same exact program to design them. I based them off of stag beetle wings. I could not find a good picture of wings for a fig eater beetle, but this is how they turned out. I think they're super cute. The way I made them, they are partially see-through, which is really cool looking. And then what I do is I actually stitch a bit of wire onto them. That way they can actually be posed and held. So I just stitch that on with my machine as well, and then I curl the edge so I can stitch a button in so I can button snap it to the back of the vest. This was the only way I could really think to do it. The only downside of doing it this way is I can't actually pose the wings up because they just kind of fall back down really easily. So I sew one snap onto the wings and the other snap onto the back of the vest. And then this is kind of how it looks when I'm all done. They snap on really easily, and that way I can take it off and do any maintenance to the doll that I need to do. And now I'm going to make his pants. Same exact pattern, honestly, but I made them bell-shaped pants. So I did the crotch seam, and now I'm going to stitch together the side seams, but I do leave part of the side seam open so I can stitch him into his pants. He's already stitched into his shirt, so there's no point to make these removable. To fully seal him into his pants, I actually used the ladder stitch. It's actually a really simple stitch. If you Google it on YouTube, it's really easy to use. It's also called the Jim Henson stitch. It actually makes a really nice invisible stitch where you can't even tell that it was hand stitched together. With that final detail, I'm going to add some rings onto him so he has some jewelry, and he's pretty much done. He actually wasn't too complicated of a doll this time. I actually really love how he turned out. Now that our host is complete, let's see who else made it to the ball. We have a scorpion by Nekodolls, a dragonfly by The Witchcrafting, our host by me, another beetle by CinnamorollsLeftPaw, and a spider by LadyLunaemrys. I love all of our attendees so much. Please make sure to check out their videos and Instagram. And this is how our host turned out. I'm so happy with how he turned out. He's super cute. I'm not 100% sold on the ponytail. It's kind of giving mini-me in cosplay. But anyway, I think he's super cute. I love how he turned out, as well as all the other dolls of this collaboration. All of their videos are either going to be linked up above, or if they don't have YouTube, their socials are linked down below. Please go ahead and check them out. I think they did an amazing job, and I'm sure you're gonna love their videos too. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye! I put the shirt on inside out. Boop, 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 boop. It's gone. I'm back. Dabba jabba jabba. Well, as you may have noticed, I did recently cut off all my hair. No, I will not be making Mini-Me match me. It's too much work to give him flocked hair. Now, I am sweating. I'm currently sweating right now and the air conditioner is on. I hate being sick. And bugs. Ugh, that was cringy. I'm sweating. It's so hot in here. Terrible. Oh, Savannah. And she was a fairy. My wire. Living in your mind now. Too late, 'cause you're mine now. I will set you free once you're all a part of me. Wait, I can do the Spider-Man meme. Mini-Me, come here. Spider-Man meme. Wait, there's 3 of us. Spider-Man meme. Corporate wants you to find the difference between these 3 people. They're the same person.